Jonah said crash before he could reliably say cracker. I remember because I'd been keeping a list in my phone the way you do with the first one, terrified of forgetting. Da-da, up, mo, more, ba, ball. And then on a gray Tuesday in October, strapped into his car seat behind me, he said it, clear as anything. Crash. What, baby? I glanced at him in the mirror, clipped to the headrest. He was looking out the window, chubby fist around his cup, perfectly calm. Crash, he said again, and pointed. Mark laughed from the passenger seat. He's been watching too many of those truck videos. I laughed too. I want that on the record, that I laughed. We were going to my sister's for the weekend, 3 hours up the interstate, the kind of drive where you stop thinking about the road because your body already knows it. Mark had the radio low, I had coffee going cold in the cup holder. Jonah had said maybe 40 words in his whole life at that point, and crash had just become 41, and I thought it was funny, the kind of thing you'd tell your mother on the phone that night. You won't believe what Jonah said today? He said it again 10 minutes later. Louder. Crash. Crash, Mama. I know, baby, we talked about the trucks. Crash. Something in his voice changed on the second one. Not babbling, not playing. There was an edge to it I'd never heard from him, high and insistent, the same tone he used when he was actually hurt, not just startled. I turned around fully this time, twisting against the seatbelt, and he wasn't pointing out the window anymore. He was pointing forward. At the windshield. At the road ahead of us, the gray ribbon of it disappearing under a highway overpass a half-mile up. Mark. He's fine. He's just... Mark, slow down. I don't know why I said it. I want to be honest about that, too. I didn't see anything. There was no smoke, no swerving sedan, no skid marks glistening on wet asphalt. There was nothing on that road except a flatbed truck 2 cars ahead of us, and gray sky, and my son, red-faced now, straining against his straps, saying the one true word he had. But something about the shape of his fear made my whole body go cold and certain in a way logic hadn't earned. Mark eased off the gas. Not because he believed it. Because I'd asked, and there was something in my voice too, by then. We slowed from 65 to maybe 50 as we came up on the overpass. The flatbed's load shifted as it crossed onto the bridge deck. I found out later it was rebar, badly chained, the kind of cargo that should never have left the yard that morning. A coil of it broke loose and came down across both lanes in a long, screeching cartwheel of steel, sparks skating off the concrete, and the car directly ahead of us, a green hatchback, I can still see it, swerved hard into the shoulder and clipped the guardrail trying to avoid it. If we'd still been doing 65, we'd have been close enough to be part of that. Mark would have had no room to brake, no room to swing left, into the empty lane the way he did, calm and fast, the way you only manage when your body has been quietly preparing for half a mile already. We stopped on the shoulder, hazards on, both of us breathing like we'd run somewhere. The hatchback driver climbed out shaking but upright, already pulling out her phone. The flatbed driver was jogging back toward the wreckage of rebar scattered like dropped pencils across both lanes, hands pressed to his head. Jonah had stopped saying it. He was just looking at me now, solemn, sucking his thumb like he'd delivered a message and his job was done. I unbuckled and climbed into the back with him, folded myself into the space between the seats so I could hold his small foot in my hand, the only part of him I could reach. "How did you know?" I whispered. Not really asking him. Asking the universe, or God, or whatever ledger toddlers are still reading from before they learn to stop. He just smiled at me, the easy, gummy smile of a boy who had no idea he'd done anything at all, and said, perfectly clearly, the way he'd say it for the rest of his life whenever I told this story at birthdays and holidays and to anyone who'd listen. Ball? He wanted his ball. That was it. That was the whole of it as far as he was concerned. I have never once let it go.